Hi and welcome to the Diary of an Apprentice podcast, the show where we discuss the power of apprenticeships through real-life success stories. Today, we're joined by current Baltic apprentice Ben Anson, who's currently on a Level 4 network engineer with us. Ben, how are you today?
I'm doing good, yeah.
So Ben, I know you quite well already, and I know quite a lot about you. I know that you're a whiz in all things IT, but I also know that you're quite an avid music fan.
I am, yeah.
Who's your favourite band?
It's quite a hard question, that one. I'd probably say at the moment, the one I'm listening to the most is the Rolling Stones. I quite like them. It's amazing to see the likes of Mick Jagger out on stage in their 80s, still moving on like they're in the 20s.
Just a solid answer. And I'm a music fan myself, but don't kind of bind myself to one genre. Would you say you're quite similar in that sense?
I'm quite like the likes of classic rock. That's probably my main one, but I do start going to like other genres, that sort of thing. I don't mind some of the new pop music that's out as well.
All right. Favorite pop song on the spot now?
Oh, I don't know any off the top of my head. I'd probably say I don't mind the likes of Taylor Swift and that. I know it's quite a different to go like from a classic rock straight to that, but I don't mind that sort of music.
Listen, a new album's great, so don't worry about saying Taylor Swift. But other than that, Ben, so an IT whiz and definitely an avid music fan. What else is there to know about you?
I'd probably say like mostly, to be honest, it's mostly IT in my spare time, so I like doing that sort of thing. The rack I've got in my room and that sort of. It's just all networking gear and stuff. It keeps us up to date, like in my spare time, that sort of thing, with like new tech that comes out. Gives us a chance to learn as well about stuff I'm going to be doing on the job as well. So it's good to have that extra knowledge.
Yeah, so it's like it's not just a career path for you, but also a hobby.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah. And introduce yourself though, Ben. Tell us where you're from.
So originally I'm from like sort of Peterlee area. So they're not too far away from where we are based now in Darlow. Like going through school and that was I went to Shotton Hall from school. Then later on for my IT courses in college and that I went on to Hartlepool College for Further Education. Quite enjoyed that. But at the same time after that it was kind of like once I'd finished my courses, like what do I go on to next? And that's when I kind of started thinking about apprenticeships, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and let's go back to the start of that journey then. So for listeners, to give some context, you've completed a level 3 IT apprenticeship and you're now on your way to kind of specialising in a level 4. But yeah, let's talk about that journey. How was it completing a level 3?
I'll probably say when I first started on my level 3, it was quite daunting because you sort of think like when you look at like the like what you've got to do for the whole year, it looks like a lot. But to be honest, once you get started and you get stuck into it, it's just basically doing your job, and the evidence kind of just flows along with that. For example, like I was on the older style level 3, but I know it's sort of changed a bit now, like later on. But basically going through gathering evidence was pretty easy. Always have like say my mentor to go to, or my coordinator if I ever need any support. So like say if I had any questions, I would go to John and ask him and say, for example, like I'm struggling on this, can you give us a hand? And he'd give us some pointers of what evidence I would go and look for, how to like hit those points I need to in my plans and that sort of thing.
Well, let's start by going all the way back to when you first found that you had a passion for IT. Where did that kind of come from?
I'd probably say it started like when I was younger. Enjoyed like just taking things apart, putting them back together, like how things work, that sort of thing. I'd say it probably sort of started to unfold when I started working in like volunteer work in the primary school my mum used to work at. Used to enjoy working on IT there, did it as part of a work placement through college. And then that sort of side ended up not needing as much support on IT. So I started working with kids that had like auditory sensory disorders because I've got a disability myself. So I quite enjoyed like supporting people who like had a disability like I did, to kind of give them the support they need to kind of so they could learn things the same way as anyone else could. Yeah.
And let's talk about that a bit more then, I guess, Ben. So you mentioned that you suffer with a disability yourself. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that?
No, it's fine, yeah. So it's a disability of what's called ocular albinism. So you can probably tell it with white hair, so it's part of the condition, and also my eyesight's not the best. I'm classed as partially sighted, so day to day I'd probably say in work with the support I have now from the likes of people at Baltic, my mentor, my coordinator, it's pretty much all the barriers have pretty much been removed, and also some extra support I get through the government, that sort of thing.
And that's great to hear that you've been supported along the way, but I assume that there's been some challenges there as well. But let's like kind of go back to, you mentioned that you were like volunteering and that's kind of where that passion came from. But let's kind of go back to when you entered the world of work then. So after that, was an apprenticeship what you were originally looking for in your job search, or was that like the support that was there for you? Did they kind of recommend that path?
To be honest, I was just looking for jobs in general.
Yeah.
But when I kind of looked on Baltic's website and I kind of saw the position they were putting forward for someone working for them, I also looked at some of the ones that Baltic were presenting through the companies. But I just saw the specs what the apprenticeship gives you, and I thought it sounded really good compared to going to university. So,
oh, that's amazing to hear. And what was the process for you then? Was you just job searching through job sites? Did you go to the job centre? Like, what was the process there?
Mostly just going on websites, filling my time on my job search list, just looking through, finding the best ones that I could do. I did go to the job centre a few times, but the jobs they had listed there were more for like admin work than compared to what they were for like actual IT, infrastructure work, that sort of thing. So mostly just online for me.
Yeah, no, great. And how was the application process for you? So level 3 IT apprenticeship, something quite new to you at the time. How was that? Could you compare it to like jobs that you've been for previously, or was this kind of like the first?
I'd been for a few interviews at like, I think it was at Tesco and a few other places. I also went for one at TMD Friction as well at Hartlepool for working in their IT. But I think in terms of like how the interview went, I thought Baltic was the best. Like the questions they asked, I thought were really good, kind of related to the job I'd actually be doing. Where some of the other jobs they were kind of asking just general questions about, and it wasn't really relating to kind of like show my skills. I thought I'd kind of learned and built up. So.
Yeah. Oh no, brilliant. And what was the interview process then? Was it like 1 stage, 2 stage? How did you find that?
So once I'd submitted my application, I got a call. I think it was from Beth in our HR team. She rang us up and said they'd like to do an interview with you. So that was the first stage. There was 2 parts to the interview. So the first one was kind of like a general, just getting to know us, what my passions were, that sort of thing. Like obviously mine's IT. Kind of getting to know a bit more about me. And the second one was kind of like the like 2 or 3 that kind of drilled down to who they wanted to choose. I think what might have won it over for me though was when I pointed my camera around to me rack I have up on the wall with all my networking gear and.
But that's important, I guess. Like for people who don't know much about apprenticeships, when you complete an apprenticeship, you have to like evidence that you are learning something new. So people don't come on apprenticeships with leaps and bounds of experience. So that passion is really important for employers. There's different ways, I guess. Your team's background was full of IT and networking gear, so I guess it was pretty clear. A passion is important. Like that is something that employers look for, is that passion. And there's different ways that people can show that, I guess. So for yourself, like when people see a networking and IT gear all over your background in your bedroom on Teams, the interviewer's already going to know that you're clearly passionate about that sector. But there's other ways, I guess, like short courses around a specific subject field, whether that is IT or whatever route you want to go down. So I think it's really important that you mention that, because knowing that you've got an interest can sometimes counterbalance experience. That's the whole point of an apprenticeship, I guess. Is kind of what I'm trying to say there. Would you agree?
I'd say so, yeah.
Well, let's talk about, you've been through that process of looking for jobs. You've been apprenticeships, normal jobs, and then clearly landed on an apprenticeship with Baltic. How was the start of the apprenticeship for you? Was it quite something that you had to get used to?
I'd probably say it was a bit daunting like the first day or 2 of the first week, but then once I kind of fell in, it was quite like just being like any other place you work and that sort of thing. I think it's more just you sort of worry. I mean, I sort of worry myself a bit. I think it's quite daunting for anyone who's like, especially if it's the first job, they might be quite a bit worried about it, but to be honest, it's not really much to worry about. All the support you get from Baltic, and that's great. So I'd say as well, for my eyesight, that was a big part of mine as well, thinking like, how am I going to be able to manage that sort of thing? But to be honest, like, again, like support's been great. So any queries I've had from a manager or from anyone like to do my apprenticeship for Baltic, like they've always been there to answer me questions and help as best they can. So
yeah, and that's a really important topic, isn't it? Is accessibility, and like especially like every training provider has a different way that they train, but for us in particular, Baltic, everything is online. It could be that people do have questions around how accessible that is, but what was it like? So our training's virtual through our smart classroom. Was you comfortable?
I'd say so, because more because Andy, who was my manager at the time, he spoke to the mentors and asked if I could sit on a training session. And to be honest, it was quite easy. I mean, I used the inbuilt magnifier on Windows, so just to like zoom the screen, that sort of thing, and I could move me around the screen. It was quite easy for me to read the text and that, and obviously all the voice and that was over the training and stuff, so that was easy to understand. So I found it quite easy. Yeah.
Brilliant. And just on the topic of the coach, then, so every Baltic apprentice has a dedicated coach who's with them from start to finish throughout the programme. How was that, having that constant support, like that one person that you could go to from start to finish, really?
I think it's been excellent to have, to be honest. That was one of the things that when I started my apprenticeship, I was a bit sort of worried about, like we'll have someone there to kind of talk to and ask questions, and it's been great to have it. Anytime I've had any questions for for John, he's always been there for us. Just drop him a quick Teams message and he gets back to us as soon as he can, which is really good.
Yeah, brilliant. And then on the topic of Microsoft Teams, because that's where you'll have your contact with your coach. How was that? Was the accessibility features in Microsoft Teams, so were they quite good? I assume so, but
I'd say so. Yeah, it's quite good for me. To be honest, in terms of visual impairment, that sort of thing, there's high contrast mode settings you can do to make stuff so text easy to read, on black backgrounds, that sort of thing. Also, if you've got a hearing impairment, it can do live transcribing. So basically, when say for example, if John was talking to someone and it would auto do the the subtitles at the bottom so that people could read it, which is quite good.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think the reason why I touch on that is because your story is quite a powerful one, in the sense that there could be people out there who are suffering with that disability or similar disability where the vision is impaired, who might think apprenticeships are out of reach. And we want to change that narrative, which is why we've got you on today, so you can show that you are a real life success story, and it's inspiring. But was there any support available, if we go outside of Baltic and your manager, who's obviously been brilliant, was there any external, I don't know, bodies or companies that can offer support?
Yeah, so there's access to it as through the Department of Work and Pension. If when you sign up, when you get your job, if you let them know, the job centre know, then they'll basically put a claim forward for access to work. You can go on and sign up on the website. Basically what you do is you fill out your disability. Yeah, I think I had to submit medical evidence just to show, so they're aware of your disability and how the best thing can support you. You'll have a case manager assigned to you, and they can support. For example, in work, I've been given a magnifier. So when I'm reading text or serial numbers on the back of networking equipment or monitors or desktops, because they're generally quite small, unfortunately. So
yeah.
Using that magnifier helps us loads. And as well for travel, I get that through access to work as well. Depending on if you need that support or not, they can arrange that for you if needs be. That you pay so much towards, I think it's the equivalent of a bus fare I pay to get to and from work, and then they sort of pay the rest sort of thing. So it's quite good to have that support there.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, definitely. And I guess all that equipment is something you use day to day now, magnifiers and...
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Magnifiers are a really big help, especially for when I'm needing to find ports and that in rooms for patching people in when that needs to happen. So
yeah,
great.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the day to day then. Level 4 network engineer, what does that involve? Because for someone like me, who's a technophobe, I have no clue. So enlighten us a little bit on what the day-to-day is of a network engineer.
Mostly it's just on the help desk, answering tickets about general. We kind of sort of cover sort of the general help desk, but I'm kind of taking on more sort of network specific tickets. Say systems having internet issues, I can go downstairs and I can run a few tests, say a ping test, just to make sure see if they can ping out to the internet, or run a speed test to see if they're experiencing issues on Teams where video calls are becoming low quality. I can test to see what speeds they get and that sort of thing. As well, obviously with us moving to the new building from our old building in Aycliffe, that's been quite a good thing for evidence on my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
I know it's not something we do every day, but it's that's definitely been something that's been really good for us, getting evidence of decommissioning old sites, setting up equipment in new sites, all going into this one, patching in ports. That's something I do quite a lot day to day. Going around to looking say if someone's having an internet issue, go on the desk, get the port number, check it in the port, and then if needs be, switch from another switch.
Brilliant. No, it's good to learn a little bit more. And I guess so that progression has probably been a challenge. I don't want to speak for you, but I assume it's a big step up. But what would you say has been the biggest challenge you've faced? Would it be that massive move from 4 sites to one massive HQ here now? Has that been a challenge?
I'd probably say that's probably been the biggest one. Yeah, it's definitely been something that's not something I'd say I was dreading, but something I knew was going to be hard work. But it's pretty much done now. And to be honest, I'm a lot happier that I have done it. That I was to be able to be a part of that, because it's meant like the amount of stuff I've learned from it. Like when we moved into this building, it hadn't been used for a good 4 years, so the networking kit that was in here was pretty bare bones, and it was like quite old, so it was pretty much rip out and replace with brand new stuff. So it's been good to kind of get the knowledge of working with new equipment, getting all set up ready for people.
I mean, that's a big challenge for anyone to take on, Ben, and you know, you haven't been here that long.
Yeah.
So how did you cope with that pressure of moving literally 200 and I don't know odd people from different areas, different offices, different locations, all under one roof?
I'd probably say mostly support from the team, just working together as a team. When anyone's like kind of feeling like it's all getting a bit too much, just kind of say, well, just have a break for a bit, we'll take over. So I just been like as a team, so just supporting each other.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. And no matter what challenge you face, Ben, you do everything with a positive smile on your face, which you uplift everyone, which is testament to you, really. But what would you say, like coming to the end of an apprenticeship, the EPA is a challenge for anyone. I mean, I've been through it myself. I know how hard it is. How was that when you'd finish your level 3 and you come to your endpoint assessment? Was it nerve-wracking?
I'd say so, yeah. I was pretty nerve-wracking. Obviously, you have your last few sessions with your mentor, and they kind of put you at ease about like what's going to happen. Because and I'm sure like you would know, it's like when you actually did the EPA, it's not as bad as what you thought it was. I mean, it is hard work, but I think most of it's kind of just accumulating your portfolio, getting everything ready.
Yeah.
I mean, when I did mine with Accelerate People, the person who I had mine with was quite lovely. He said like basically when I went in the interview, he said like, we're not here to catch her out. We're just here to have a general conversation about what you've done over the past year. And basically, once you kind of start asking questions, it just flowed out. Yeah. It's stuff you just know. It's stuff you do every day. So
yeah, and that one sentence I think can make anyone feel at ease, can't it? Like, we're not here to catch it out. Like, all you're there to do is demonstrate the incredible work that you've done over the last 12, 15, 18, 21 months, wherever your program is on. That endpoint assessment's there for you to kind of show off and say, actually, I've done this and I'm quite great. After going through the EPA process and then like starting on a level 4 program, how have your responsibilities changed? Like, what have you started taking on that maybe you didn't do from your level 3?
I'd probably say more managing the network now. That's been something that's like obviously moving to this new building, making sure like things are up to scratch. One of the biggest things I think we're looking at doing at the moment is sort of the Wi-Fi. That's a project I'm kind of working on, and also the server room as well. We have Wi-Fi in the building, but we are looking at sort of getting them mounted properly on the walls at the moment. They're not mounted properly from when we've moved in. So we're looking to get that sort of getting the area spaced out so the covers like the best possible amount of people. In the server room as well. Just kind of going through, making sure it's definitely like it's redundant. So like if there's ever any failures, like sort of look at it and like make sure it's like if a switch dies, it won't take out most of the network. Just making sure that sort of things like everything's sort of like backed up and all redundant. Yeah.
And do you feel like in yourself that now you're a lot more trusted by the team? Do you think they view you as an apprentice?
I think to be honest, about halfway through my level 3, I think Andy kind of realised like I know a bit more because I've kind of done a bit more outside. He's kind of realised that I've kind of got a bit more knowledge than what he thought, and I think it's definitely shown in my level 4 now as well as I've progressed on. I think having that kind of like knowledge that I've learned from level 3, getting all the business processes here, I think people are starting to kind of trust us a bit more with like higher priority things, which is good to know because it shows I'm moving in the right direction. So
yeah, and I think that is so valuable what you've just said there, because you know with an apprenticeship comes a misconception around very like low skilled, make the tea and coffees, like that's changing now, but definitely 10 years ago that's how people viewed them. So to say that you are halfway through your level 3 and already people know the value that you're adding, I think that's a really powerful story of where you can go and how successful you can be through completing an apprenticeship. So thanks for sharing that. But yeah, we've covered where you started, where you are now, but what's next for Ben? Like what's your next step?
I'd probably say keep going down the career path of a network engineer. It's something I've quite enjoyed, like had a good passion for. When I was going through my level 3, Andy asked us and said like, what sort of things did you want to, like, where's the area you want to sort of progress into, and we'll like support you to go there. And I was kind of worrying a bit because I was thinking, I don't know what am I going to go down. Then I did my last
very
course.
Dalton question.
It's and I kind of got towards me last exam, or my last like sort of training course and exam was me networking one, and I went and sat through that, and I was like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So it's good having those kind of options on level 3 to kind of go through, and because your level 3 is kind of like your base knowledge, so it's kind of good to have like sort of all different areas you can look into, and then know where you want to progress to after that for level 4.
And I'm going to be that person now and ask you that daunting question again. So now that are you coming to the end of your level 4, or how far through are you?
I think I'm about 10 or 11 months through.
Okay.
So I'm
so quite a bit to go.
Yeah, quite a bit to go.
But like, have you thought beyond that of like other qualifications? I mean, there's level 5, 6, 7 apprenticeships and upwards, or maybe I'm definitely not an expert in this area, but there may be some sort of certifications that you can do in IT, and that, you know, them shiny badges. Have you thought of anything after your apprenticeship?
I know there is 2, like a Security Plus Network Plus as exam vouchers you get as part of your apprenticeship to take during it, and I want to give them a go. And I think after that, seeing how we'll go with them, I'm probably going to look at like doing maybe something like CCNA, like getting some like basic like Cisco stuff under my belt as well. Just trying to like get myself built up. So because we use Cisco equipment here for our stuff, so it'll be quite good to like get to know that a bit more. So because at the moment I'm still kind of learning like different routers and that sort of thing, so it'll be good to kind of progress myself onto that, so I'd know what to do, like command server and that sort of thing. So
well, that's music to my ears, because we're a big believer here that learning never stops, and there's always new tools, new technologies that you can always be training and upskilling on. So great to hear that you're thinking ahead of what comes next. But I think a great way to round off today's episode, Ben, would just be by me asking you, what is your one piece of advice that you would give to someone who maybe has a vision impairment or other disability about apprenticeships? What do you wish someone had told you? I'd
probably say just don't let your disability hold you back. Like, don't think that like because of it it's gonna like hold you back and you can't do it. Like, I am sort of the product of that. So just give it a go. The spot's there if you need it. Like, access to work's great help. It's to be honest, it does. I know it is quite a lot daunting for people who have disabilities to like kind of want to put themselves out there, but I'd say just give it a go. It's really you'd be surprised like how you can surprise yourself what you can do. So just.
And I don't think that I can wrap up this podcast any better than that. So thank you, Ben. How's it been today?
It's been great, yeah.
Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, we might try and get you on again in the future once you've completed that level 4 and you're well on your way to becoming a network master, shall we say. But yeah, thanks everyone, whether you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube. See you next time. Thanks for listening to the Diary of an Apprentice podcast. Find this and future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or check out our full videos on YouTube and Vimeo.